All right, you divine lions, lionesses, welcome back to the Sovereign Soul Show. You know, we stand for love, levity, liberty, because, yeah, laughter is the greatest medicine, as Reader's Digest says. Good elevation, and liberty, libertas is what we all are. We are sovereign in our soul, our sound of unlimited love. Back with Sovereign Pete. It's been a minute, 10 months. To the day almost that we last spoke on here. It was an absolutely, as they say, I guess in parlance, man, that was lit. Some like young kids are like, man, that was lit. Taxes are voluntary.
That's
Can't
right.
take my home from you, not unless you have proper title, maybe land patent. You can't take a car from you. And remember, everybody, we're talking divine law, like mankind versus legalese down here, legal, not lawful, legal. And again, we're doing the height system. And remember, government, governus mentis, to control minds, mortgage, two French nouns, meaning death pledge. In the UK, freaking, it's like 100 years for a mortgage. In Canada, it's like 30. The States are doing like 5. And folks, yeah, it's all freaking, if you don't want to pay taxes, guess what? Choose not to. And then find out the reason why, because it's commerce. So Sovereign Pete, this man has been
Yes.
at it since 1992. Holy smokes, mate. Yeah, amazing. Amazing. And don't get it wrong, he looks like he's only 35. So,
I'll take that.
yeah, came out of the womb, came sliding out of the womb. Sovereign, before kindergarten, he was writing contract law for himself. Yeah, go ahead, my friend. Yes, an
Thank you.
honor to have you back here. Thank you so
Oh, I
much.
appreciate it.
In the UK, yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, yeah, began my journey in 1992 when I actually got on the internet for the first time, and I just started researching stuff. Basically, what I was trying to do is improve my letter writing skills. So back in the day, this is before the internet really, or emails or anything like that. But if I have issues with corporations or businesses, I would serve notice upon them, serve letters, and it was done, by hand, stamp and posted. So I just want to improve my letter writing skills and learn a bit more about the legal system. And that is when I discovered, hang on a minute, I don't think this legal system was actually dealing in law. And that's when I started to learn the difference between law and legal. So everyone watching, I'm hoping by now, I hope your audience by now knows the difference between lawful and legal. And legal means contract. So whenever you hear that magic word legal, you know you're operating in a contractual jurisdiction. And this is why everyone in the legal system, including the police, politicians, people in government, all these agencies that work for government, they will only use the word legal because they are trying to make you accept joinder and operate within their corporate jurisdiction. And if you enter into joinder with them, they have power over you, and then you've got to do as you're told, and you've got to pay your taxes. So yeah, we can get into that if you want as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And joinder is marriage, right? In that, it's like, hey, do you want to be married to a politician, Gavin Newsom? He's just going to take all of your children, who, by the way, everybody, boom, good things going on. He's crimes against humanity, and he is being indicted for child trafficking and human trafficking. Gavin Newsom and what her name is, Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, for crimes against humanity. Crimes against humanity, straight from the White House. Just came out from Stephen Miller in being indicted for crimes against humanity. And you know what? That's it. This off with the head when crimes against humanity happen. So, but it doesn't change that there's minions underneath them still trying to affect the legal system upon all of you. And yeah, like climate lockdowns. We were having a good laugh at that. And I was sharing with Pete earlier that some information he wasn't aware of, and we'll bring out on the show here very shortly. But so remember, everybody, legal contract marriage. Do you want to be married to the Premier of New Brunswick, who says, if you go out in the woods today, you're in for a big surprise, because if you break your leg, we're not going to save you, but we find out you did, we'll throw you in jail for a year and $150,000 fine. And Nova Scotia. And what was the other one? Newfoundland. So do you want to be married to those retards or in joinder in their contract law, or do you want to be above it, which is the authority you already have? You're the author of your own life, right? And I think we start, what does it mean to be sovereign, Pete? You have a great definition. I love this.
Oh, thank you very much. Absolutely. Sovereign, the word itself, if we break, this is where, I started to learn how the system works because I broke down the language and I broke down words because I always wanted to find the origin of a word so I knew what it meant. And this is a little tip that I would suggest everybody tries to learn. So the word sovereign, you go, okay, what does that mean? It's actually a contraction of two words and they're Latin words. So sov means superior, above, uppermost, and then reign, which actually means law, control, I reign. So if you're sovereign, you have superior reign. So that means no one else is above you, and therefore no one else can tell you what to do, and you do not operate under their law. So that's sovereign. And an oxymoron is a sovereign citizen.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time. And you go, you what?
Yeah.
Citizen, slave to the city. That's what it means. So a lot of people don't know that city is a jurisdiction placed upon the land. In fact, the word land is being used as a jurisdiction. It isn't the soil, it isn't the earth. All these words have different meanings. And this is why the government will use the word land instead of soil or earth. You can own your earth and soil, and you own it as sovereign. Therefore, it makes it your land, which means you can now place a jurisdiction upon it. So citizen, city, a city is a corporate jurisdiction. It's not the buildings. And what if you accept that corporate jurisdiction, it makes you a citizen. The word itself actually means the state of having your mind controlled and believing the city actually controls you. That's what citizen. The word zen is your mind is trapped. So yeah, sovereign citizen is an oxymoron. So if anybody starts off a conversation like that and calls you a sovereign citizen, I go, well, you're retarded. I'm not even going to have this conversation with you. Bye-bye. That's it. I don't debate anybody. If they start off with that, I know they're idiots and I just walk away. But yeah, we can get into the land if you want.
We're gonna have to do a fucking Friday. Like we have it. That's the comedy version of the episodes. Fucking Friday, putting fun in the funk of life. And I just had some great people on. Roseanne Barr's co-host and son, Jake Pentland, and Tom Outhouse. Guy who created the original Matrix series, stole from him. He created, came up with Neuralink. Elon Musk took it from him. All this stuff. So we were just getting into it. And Tom's been on the show a few times. But when we talk about cities, and I think this is. I mean, I know there's people listening right now or watching the broadcast going mind blown, and that's great. But again, don't just mind blown and do spiritual bypass. Think about Zen state, right? We enter a Zen state. So think about the etymology of the words which Sovereign Pete, excuse me, just shared with you right now, right? Sovereign, supreme reign, supreme council. That's you. That's you, the man or the woman. Your soil, your earth, and you set a jurisdiction. And remember, what is a jurisdiction? Well, it's a boundary. And it can be this invisible boundary, or you can actually have your GPS coordinates of the boundary that is within you of what you own on your sovereign soil, earth, land, and setting up your jurisdiction so that, remember, if everybody's paying property taxes and you think you own your own home, what you're doing is you're just renting the area from that city that you are conforming to their policy. And they're attempting to enforce the policy, but it's not lawful. It's legal, not lawful. Yeah. Correct. Lawful up here, legal down there. Anyway, so
absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, the very easy way to determine the difference between lawful and legal, if someone says you've broken the law, the next question you ask, name the victim. Because if I've broken the law, there must be a victim. And if there's no victim, if you won't give me a name of a victim, then I can't have possibly broken the law. It's that simple. Yeah. So, by the way, the legal system does not deal in law. It's impossible. It can't do it. So even if you'd murdered somebody and you are arrested by the police officer, which is a policy enforcer, he's not arresting you for the murder. He's arresting you because you didn't fill out the right paperwork and gain the license to kill to carry out the murder. That's why he's arresting you.
Ooh, that's a good one. Let's go down that. Yeah. If you're in Toronto, Chicago, or in London right now, you definitely are aware of this stuff going on. So extrapolate on this for everyone.
Yes. So this is one of the things I learned very early on, because I am a fan of 007 films. I love, grew up with the 007, Roger Moore, Sean Connery, and all that sort of stuff. And I never understood the license to kill, because it was like, hang on a minute, so he can get a license to kill. 007 can have a license to kill, and he can go around killing people. That didn't make any sense to me. So as a kid, so I was asking questions as a kid. What's this? So of course, I figured out what license meant, and obviously license means asking permission. So you're getting permission from somebody. And you go, okay, so who does 007 get the permission from? And that would be the monarch. So you go, okay, great. So that would be, back in the day, it was the Queen. Now it's the King. And you go, okay. So what is 007 licensed to kill? What is he allowed to kill? Well, he can only kill what is referred to as chattel. Okay. So this is animals owned by the king. That's pigs, goats, chattel. So if it's an animal that is owned, like a farmer. A farmer can own chickens, and he can kill a chicken and have a chicken dinner, and that is not murder. And you go, okay. And you go, well, hang on a minute. Why can 007 go around killing people? And you go, well, this is because the word people actually means chattel. And this is where you got to start digging deep. Anything that is referring to a collective, like people, because you can't put a number to people, is a form of collectivism. And what's happening is if someone uses the word people upon you, and you accept it, then what's happening is you are now being placed in a group. All right. So this is a label that's being placed upon you. You're now a people, which a people has no rights. You've been placed into a group, and you are now under the rule of the king, because the king will say, I'm going to address my people. He's literally saying to you, I own you. Okay. And then you become subject to his rule. So now you are owned, you are one of his people, you are subject to his rule. If you disobey him, what can he do? He can have you killed. So that's when he phones up 007. Here's your license to kill, because you are an agent. I mean, they tell you this. 007 is an agent, which means he works for the principal. And who's the principal? The one with the authority is the king. So the king is granting 007 the license to kill, and you go off and kill people. So as long as 007 says, are you one of the people? You say yes. Good. Bang. Nice and legal. That's what it means. You contracted. You agreed. So, 007 can say to you, are you a British citizen? Yes, I am. Good. Bang. You're dead as well. Are you a member of the public? Yes, I am. Good. Bang. You're gone as well. It's a contract. So according to their rules, this is the legal system itself. If you contracted and you agreed, it's not unlawful. You can legally be a slave. You can't be unlawfully a slave. So that's what it means. Nice and legal. You agreed. And it's all in the language. So yeah, license to kill people. So if you don't have license to kill and you carry out a murder, then you've actually killed one of the people owned by the king. He's angry with you. So you're now going to go to prison, and they're going to place a bond on you because you've got to pay the king for killing one of his chickens. That's how it works.
Yep.
Blows your mind.
And chattel is also described, everyone, in if you have a social security number or a social insurance number. So in the Commonwealth of the Corporate Crown Corporation of Canada, yes, which is not a country. Oh, by the way, since we last spoke, we now have a letter, thanks to Norman Traversy, Freedom Convoy legend, but also Norman was a decorated firefighter hero in Canada in 2003, before, before even I realized Canada is not a country. And so we petitioned the National Archives in Ottawa and said, give me any confirmation Canada is a country and that we are a government. 3 people full-time, including the head of National Archives of Ottawa, delivered a 10-page letter on December 10, 2024 back to him, and basically said there is not a shred of evidence on file that Canada has ever been a country, nor is it a government. It is simply a business entity. So again, we have state-sponsored terrorism, transnational criminal syndicate. Here you are. So that happened, 2 months after we had our last show. So, hey, there you go. By their own admission. Here are Canada's not a country. By their own admission. Registered July 1, 1867 in Washington, D.C. And the chattel, if you have a SIN, social insurance number in Canada, or like in America, social security number. What did they issue?
National
Everybody?
insurance number.
National
In the
insurance
UK,
number, the
backwards.
NIS, SIN backwards. So it's SIN in Canada, NIS backwards in the UK for HMRC. You are a member of chattel. You actually are traded on the stock markets, right? And you're recorded at City of London, Vatican, and BIS in Switzerland, at Basel, right? The sovereign immunity of their bank. The like a bank with sovereign immunity, BIS in Switzerland, everyone. So you are chattel.
Yes.
You are the animal that they own with your birth certificate number, which is not your living birth record. Remember, if you're born in any of the hospital infrastructure around the world, part of the Commonwealth, stealing wealth from the commoners, you have a living birth record, and maybe a few days later, there's a birth certificate. Okay, all right.
Absolutely perfect. Yeah, you described it exactly how it is. And it is all contractual. So this is a thing we've got to understand. A lot of people say this is being forced upon you. No, it's being enforced upon you. There's a subtle difference. So let me explain the difference. It's all in the language. People have got to learn the language. You've got to learn the origin of words so you know what the word means rather than what the word is referring to. This is where people fall foul of the system. Like, for example, the word sovereign, they think it refers to a king, like a king with a crown in a castle and all.
I hate that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you go, no, that's what the word is referring to. You want to know what the word is actually meaning. What does the word mean? So force and enforce, very subtle. Force is against the law because this means you are forcing somebody to carry out an obligation that they do not have. So if you're forcing someone to hand over £10,000, that's robbery. You're stealing it from them because they are not obligated to pay you. So it's force. So breaking into your house, stealing your stuff, force, steal your car, force. The government doesn't do this. What the government does, and they tell you, because they say they have a legal system, is they will enforce.
Yeah.
It's in the language. And you go, okay, what does enforce mean? Enforce means there is a contract in place that you agreed to, creating the obligation. You've defaulted on the obligation. You refuse to carry it out. Therefore, they are going to enforce the contract upon you, and they are going to use their policy enforcer to do so. Enforce. That is perfectly legal because if you've accepted the obligation, then you have to pay whatever it is. So this is when you look at the language. Now, and we're getting to this taxes contractual thing. Oh, this is another thing people have got to learn. So when you're learning the paper, it's all in paperwork. It's all legalese. This is the trap of the system. It's all paperwork. And this is why it's so fragile, by the way. You have to learn this basic. I'm going to give everyone a little basic tip here. This is a very simple tool that you can use when you are reading any document. What you have to be able to do when you read a document is tell the difference between a word, a label, and a legal title. These are three separate things. They can look exactly the same on the document itself. So you go, okay, what is a word? A word is a descriptive term used within a sentence to convey information. To understand what a word is, you need to know two things. First, what language you are using and what dictionary you are using. Now, within commerce and contract law, you have the right to ask the other party what language you are using and what dictionary. We do this all the time within the Sovereign Project. That's the first thing we ask. If we receive any documentation from any debt collectors or third-party interlopers or anything like that, we start off, can you please confirm what language you're using and what dictionary? I need that before I can even begin reading this document. The next one is label. And you go, okay, what's a label? A label is a form of classification. Now, the label is a classification that is created by the author of the label. And you go, okay, what does author mean? Author means authority. You are the author of the label. You wrote it. You control it. That's where authority comes from. Author of is authority. Now, I'll give you an example. Anti-vaxxer. That's a label. So if someone tries to apply that onto you and you accept it, they can hit you with all sorts of straw man arguments. So you should always say, hey, don't label me. I didn't allow you to label me. Retract that label. I don't accept any form of labels. Don't try that with me. So that's a label. What they're trying to do is trying to classify you, put you in a group, and then they can do a straw man argument against you. Now, the last one is the dangerous one, which is legal title. Legal, as we know, means contract. So title within a contract means it carries obligations that you've agreed to within the contract. So I'll give you an example. If you want to go and work for McDonald's, you will accept the legal title burger flipper. So that means that you are obligated to carry out the instructions of the management who's hired you to be burger flipper. So you've accepted the contract. The thing with all the documentation that's being sent to you, and it's all over the world, it doesn't matter what country you are operating in. By the way, all countries are corporations. So it doesn't matter what country you are operating within, which is just a corporate jurisdiction placed upon the land. They will be using legal titles, but the average person will think it's a word and they will fall foul of the system. Like, I'll give you an example. Over in the UK corporation, they use the word resident. And I go, well, hang on a minute. What do you mean by resident? If I look it up as a word, it just means someone who lives in a house. But the people operating in the UK corporation, what they are doing is calling it a legal title, resident. And it takes on a completely different meaning. So resident over here in the UK corporation means that you've accepted the contract with the UK government. You are residing in a property that you do not own, and you have agreed to enter into commerce with the local authority, which is called the council. So now you know this, you're now in a position to start challenging documentation, because when you get these documentations and you notice resident, occupier, legal owner, all this sort of stuff, you can actually return it back and say, I'm going to need you to clarify what do you mean by resident? And that is when this whole system starts to break down, because you're throwing a spanner in the works. Because up until that point, everyone's been accepting it as a word, but in fact, it's been a legal title. So there's a little tip for everyone. Know the difference between a word, a label, and a legal title, and you're on your journey to shred these contracts that are sent to you. So hopefully that's a bit of a juicy tip for your audience.
That's an awesome tip. Tips, plural. And in my dictionary, I'm using plural because, you know, this is the kick in the balls, the proverbial kick in the balls back. So for example, so let's just say what happened in British Columbia, which very few people know about. But again, they're doing this, you know, like the Maui land grab. You know, I was on several Zooms with the chief of the Hawaiian Kingdom. And he was, you know, when all was going on 2 years ago, and he was saying, this is not Maui fires. It needs to be relabeled the Lahaina terrorist attack by directed energy weapons. Say that 10 times fast. And he kept saying that. He's kept saying it, right? Because you have people who are literally, you know, microwaved to a crisp when they pass the beam right over them, and they're gone. And now they're doing the land grab. And the same thing with, you know, California, other places around the planet. And this is what they continue to do. So what happened in Supreme Court of British Columbia, you know, their Supreme, everybody remember etymology of words, and that these matter, right? Because these are the bonds by the words that you can get into or remove yourself from their system to suck your soul, time, energy, and money. And they went ahead and said, you know what? Perhaps because Charles Windsor, AKA, who fancies himself the King of England and goes by the name King Charles, showed up here in May 2025 in Ottawa Parliament and said that Canada has never existed as a country, is not sovereign, and it's part of the Anishinaabe, Algonquin, Métis, and First Nations peoples. We do not have jurisdiction here. Then some judge in the Supreme Court a week ago went, you know what? There's this whole area in southern Vancouver, in British Columbia. Yeah, you Amazon, you might have a distribution warehouse here. We might have Best Buy, Staples, Walmarts. We might have Starbucks cafes and suburbs and schools over here. But guess what, everybody? You've got like, I don't know what it was, 90 days to vacate everything because we're giving this back to the Indigenous peoples, the First Nations in Canada. And they went, that's it. See everybody later. Ooh, funny how that didn't make the news. So again, when you're looking, as Sovereign Pete just told you, word, number one, label, number two, legal title, and what it means, because now the notices are going to come out. You're going to have a notice from the governing entity to vacate your premises based on what we just decided to enact as a policy. Otherwise, our policy enforcers will be here to physically remove you and possibly throw you into jail to enforce our policy.
Yes.
Which you're in agreement of because you pay us property taxes for the right to the land which you thought you owned, but you have a mortgage death pledge with the banking institutions which work for us, not for you. And every time you put money into your bank account, you are lending us and deposing your compensation here, and we own it. It's all in the language that you agreed to in that fine print. Fraudulent, yeah. Sly, yeah, but they're fucking mafia. It's the mafia. So Tony Soprano came in. Hey, come on, I'll take care of you. And this is your VIG. This is your VIG. You gotta pay us every year. You pay us to live here. You know, we take care of you. We got our boys that come around. They got the the cherries on top, just in case. There's keep the peace until we want a piece of you. And then we come for you. That's what this is.
You're absolutely right.
Mafioso.
It is. It is. Now, one of the things I try and educate people on is, I know you mentioned fraud. Now, I'm going to use the word fraud in quotes.
Yeah.
Because the way that it works in this legal system is they have a maxim of law, which basically goes, for he who allows himself to be deceived, let him. All right. So if you allow yourself to be deceived, that's on you. They will not say it's on them. You should have known better. And by the way, the word ignorant, and I do call some people ignorant, does not mean lacking knowledge. Ignorant means you want to ignore the knowledge. You turn your back on it. So ignorant, that's what it means. The action of ignoring. Yeah. So if you choose not to learn this and you turn your back on it, that's on you. The people who control the system will say, well, if you want to be deceived, that's on you. Now, what we try and do here is within the Sovereign Project, we educate people on how to use their paperwork, which we do not straight away call fraud. And we absolutely do not use treason, the word treason, because you've got to be very, very careful with this language. Because if you go straight in calling treason, like I say, if you say politicians are treasonous, you're going to get arrested. Because you've made a claim that you can't back up. Because you've got to understand what sovereign means. Only a living, breathing man or woman can be sovereign, because you have to be alive to speak your word. And law of the land means the law on an individual man's land. It's not universal. My land is mine, your land is yours, and our laws might be slightly different. So law of the land is an individual thing. So sovereign is a living, breathing man or woman. So if someone says, if you accuse someone of being treasonous, treason means to go against the sovereign. So that means the sovereign is giving you something to do, but you're going against his will. So the next question would be, can you name the sovereign? And if you can't, or if you quote a dead entity as being sovereign, you're going to get arrested. So we don't use the word treason. We treat this fully as commerce, because it's a system of commerce, system of contracts. And we do not start claiming fraud until we prove it. So the way it works is we start to challenge the paperwork. Instead of challenging the tax or anything like that, we will actually say, hang on a minute, the paperwork that I've got here seems to be deficient. There seems to be some problems with it. Let's have a look at this contract. How am I obligated to pay council tax, or in your case, it'd be property tax? How am I obligated to pay it? First of all, you've got to get the right mindset. If you think you have to pay it, then pay it. I can't help you. If you wake up and realize it's all contractual, now I can help you. So what you do is, let's look at the paperwork. The paperwork seems to be deficient in certain information. And then you'll challenge it. And then you'll ask the other side, i.e. the council or the local government, whoever it is, to actually provide proof of obligation to pay. When they can't do this, this is when they must back down. Now, this is important, everybody. This is really important. If they don't back down, and you've absolutely proved there is no obligation to pay because they have not provided the contract to prove it, now it's fraud. Now you can call it fraud because you are going to use their own paperwork to prove it. The best way to play this game is by using their paperwork that they are fraudulent. because you're not making a claim. You don't have to prove anything. You're going to go, well, it says so on your own paperwork. You've literally made a claim that I'm supposed to pay this, but you are unable to provide the contract. Oh, by the way, if you receive any documentation, it's happening a lot now, which is beautiful to see. If you see any documentation sent by any government department and they say the words, we do not need a contract, but you've got to pay us anyway, that's force. That's a crime. You've just been sent malicious paperwork. And then you can inform them and says, I'm going to, depends on your particular country, but you will have on the jurisdiction or on the books of your corporate country, anti-slavery acts and statutes. And that is when you hit them and say, don't you work for the company, the country. So you work for the country, you work for the government. You've just sent me a contract saying, you just sent me a document saying you don't need a contract, but I have to pay you. That is violating your own acts and statutes against slavery because you've just made me a slave. Checkmate, end off. Boom. You use their own documents against them. And then you can call them out. Fun and games, everyone.
It is fun and games. Yeah. There's a guy that we had on the show about a little over a year ago, and he was taking Canadian Revenue Agency agents, charging them criminally. And because again, so to exactly what Pete's saying. So again, if the Canadians aren't aware of this, Australians, New Zealanders, Swedes, South Africans who watch the show too. I mean, again, the template is nearly exact all across the place. Okay. Commonwealth, USA Inc., IRS, Canada Inc., Australia Inc., right? UK Inc., HMRC. So he was literally going, okay, hang on a second, would call up the CRA agent and would said, hey, my client has just received, and he's not an accountant. And he literally says, I'm just a man and I have a contractual relationship with this client who's being harassed and terrorized with your paperwork, saying you're going to take their home, and did leverage the same stuff against them and recorded them and said, okay, here it is. Where's the obligations, whatnot, on the phone, or the supervisor, send me the information, fax it to me, fax it, well, wait a second, I'm looking here and I don't see that they have a contract, and using the anti-slavery statutes of the Canada Crown Corporation against them, and said, now you are actually not only fraudulent, but you're criminality and harassment and terrorizing them to a point, in fact, that, they are almost suicidal. And so now with your name, I have filed a criminal lawsuit against you and bringing forth criminal charges against you in your own legal court system.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful.
And then with the criminal lawsuits, they're tens of millions of dollars, right? And these are agents making like, I don't know, 48, 52 grand Canadian, right? And they're paying their 40% or 58%, back to their own, masters.
Yeah.
They're like a hungry dog on a leash, like, feed me, let me go attack, and then beat me, and then feed me again, and I'll go attack for you, and then beat me. And that is the Stockholm syndrome that they're all in. I have to use these like examples that are exaggerated, but they're perfect metaphors too, to like get it through people's heads, right? These visual examples that'll override the auditory and help link it together, because this is the bastardization of it all. Sovereign Pete, when we first met, I shared the example here. The audience knows it well, but back in the 90s, I'm like, okay, volunteer, let's go. Canadian Armed Forces, infantry soldier. You're doing it, you're badged, you've got your infantryman badge, okay, in case you need to get deployed, peacekeeper, whatever. Or, domestically, we got deployed, shovel the snow, feed the people, go do wellness checks, because we had 2 feet of ice in Ice Storm 98, which, brought parts of Canada to Eastern Canada and the United States to a complete halt, right? 2 feet of ice fall. People didn't have power for 6 months. Wells were frozen. Farmers, communities, rural. It was crazy. It looked beautiful, but it was absolute, pandemonium. But then they didn't pay 3,500 of us for 10 months. So you're like, okay, you go back, you're like, form up, get ready, go on field exercise, do this. And fortunately, as I'd shared with you and some of the audience knows, but there are people who have families who live on base, who have to pay their bills, and some little bureaucrat in an office in Ottawa at the Department of National Defense or at NDHQ is sitting there with their Mr. Coffee machine, punching their time card for 9 a.m. to arrive to work, get their 1 hour at lunch, get their 30-minute unionized break in the afternoon. And we're like, oh yeah, we haven't paid people. We were switching from checks in the mail to this thing called direct deposit. Yeah, got all these files here, whatever, representing real people. So again, that is the awakening experience I had, that there's something really effing fishy going on here, far different than you. And then it was 2005, and that was it for me reading Creature from Jekyll Island. I'm like, got it.
Yes.
Got it. I mean, I didn't go to the extent you did, anywhere near the extent you did with the paperwork and discovery. So I mean, I'm seeking mastery. You're a master, so I continually learn through these conversations and your courses. And because I'm not the know-it-all master myself, I think we should all be seeking mastery. And man, like Creature from Jekyll Island did it for me. I'm like, it's all effing volunteer. It's volunteer. Holy crap. And then I tried to share it with everybody else, even my wife at the time. Like, no. They might come after us. Yeah. And they attempted to once. The knock got the knock at the door. And that got handled.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing when you just stand in your truth, your authenticity. Okay, so that was a bit of a sidebar, Brad. Back on track with Sovereign Pete. So a couple of the other things. So let's go into, since we're on the tax voluntary stuff, and I've tapped into that, why don't we expand on that from your side? Go ahead.
Absolutely. I think I mentioned earlier as well, it is the mindset. Because if you believe you're obligated to pay the thing, you're just going to have to do it. You're just going to pay. So I can't help anybody who thinks they have to. But if you can wake up and go, hang on a minute, I don't remember signing a contract. I don't understand how I can be obligated to pay. Now I can help you. But it begins with the like property tax. I mean, it just shows you the mindset of people, because you will ask people, do you own your house? Oh, yeah, I own it. It's mine. I own it outright. Pay the mortgage off. Okay, great. Can you tell me how much your property taxes are? Oh, yeah, it's a few £1,000s a year. Well, hang on a minute. You just told me that you own your house. Yeah. So how can you be paying tax on something you own? If you can't even figure that out, if you can't even wake up to that, then I'm saying I can't help you. It's like the, it's like the COVID days, when everyone was queuing up for a certain medical intervention. And I'm going, you on the 7th booster and you can't figure it out yet? All right.
Yeah.
I can't help you, mush.
NPC, they're gone. Well,
they're gone.
Well, let me, I'm going to put it, the frame to you this way, everybody, with this question to Sovereign Pete. Sovereign Pete, that black t-shirt you're wearing here, how many times per year do you go back to the vendor you bought it from and pay them tax after you bought that black t-shirt you're wearing?
All right, I don't actually buy my own t-shirts.
Oh, there you go. All right, well, that microphone.
Yes, okay.
From the vendor you purchased that microphone from, how many times a year are you required to go back and pay the sales tax again and again and again on that microphone?
Correct. Yes, I know what you're getting at. I was just
yeah. No worries. He gets free black t-shirts. That's awesome.
Yes.
Free clothing.
Exactly right. Once you bought your thing, you might pay the tax on it once, although you don't have to. I'm not going to go down that road, but like I say, you're absolutely correct. Once you bought it, if you did pay the tax, you don't do it every year. You don't go back and you don't continue to repay the tax over and over again. But yes, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I don't buy my own t-shirts.
Yeah, no, it's great. Well, yeah, for the masses, right? And again, then we can get like really, really, really down. Like I bought it on Amazon, and they're charging the tax for this and whatever. Like, yes, you can go to that minutia. What is it worth for you in the hour or two of the day to deal with Amazon for that, for 4 or 5 quid? Whatever, right? So there's a balance here. There's some people like, I'm writing amicus briefs for this stuff. I mean, okay,
Well, I knew people were going to use that argument. You're absolutely correct, because I talk about tax being voluntary, and then people go, well, you paid the tax on that t-shirt for it. And I go, for the love of God. There's certain battles you can win, certain you can't at the moment. Yeah. But when enough people actually wake up to this, then guess what? All the tax and the duty on fuel, that evaporates, that goes away, and all the other taxes go away. I mean, within the UK corporation, people are still paying VAT, which is 20%. And they don't even realize that that VAT was, in fact, the membership fee of being part of the EU. And everyone's going, yeah, we got Brexit and we're not in the EU anymore. So I says, oh, you're still paying VAT, though. That's how dumb people, they've been dumbed down that much. They have no clue how all this works at all. And we can get into the Jekyll Island stuff because that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yeah, let's roll. And then we'll also talk about ownership and title for the home and the car, because of what they just did in British Columbia. It's great because it's real. And I mean, it's effing comical, everyone. It's comical because it's out there right now, right? They're changing the story just like 5 days ago or 2 days ago. The New Brunswick premier was like, well, it's not about fires as if you break your leg. But right beside that, in the same forest, almost sharing the same path, Nova Scotia, like, no, it's definitely because of this. But stay out of the woods as we spray your home in the woods with glyphosate Roundup, which kills everything and then is an accelerant for fires. Wow. Yeah. Trust us. We have your best interest, not really your chattel. We own you, as you said. So, yeah. So the home and title, ownership, cars, homes, taxes. I think that's a really key one here.
Yes.
Because if people start doing this, then they'll take care of it for their kids too, I imagine.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
We've got to get the education to the adults, and then they can teach their kids so they're not trapped in this system of commerce. I mean, we can touch on ownership, jurisdiction, and being banned as well. I mean, we touched on land because land is obviously, like I mentioned earlier, land is actually a jurisdiction placed upon the earth and the soil. So that's what it's being used for. So when you hear of land registry, like in the UK corporation, they have what is called the land registry. That's got nothing to do with the earth or the soil. What they're actually registering is the title of the jurisdiction placed upon the land. Once you know that, you can challenge the jurisdiction and say, can you tell me where the jurisdiction comes from? And when they can't provide where the jurisdiction comes from, then there is no jurisdiction. So then you go, okay, the soil and the earth has not been claimed, therefore I'm going to claim it for myself.
It's a freaking pronoun, really. I mean, in the vernacular we look at this now, everyone, it's a pronoun. They just came up with I identify. And they're using these nice little things called a title and say, we identify that this is ours. And in order to enact that, we're creating an instrument called title. And we're putting this on here until you challenge it and you prove us different.
Correct. Okay. But it's easy when you learn the difference between a name and a title. In fact, I'll just make a note of it now because so we don't go too far off. If we have time, we'll get into the difference of a name and a title because this is key.
Awesome.
I'll just make a note. So ownership, house, car, that sort of stuff. So we'll cover that. And we're going to cover banning as well. A lot of people think like you were talking about the forest and you're banned. You're not allowed to enter the forest. Well, the thing with being banned from doing something still requires your consent. It's the same as if you're being mandated to carry something out. Because remember back in the day with the COVID years, everyone was being mandated for a certain medical intervention, but you have to consent to the mandate. In other words, you've got to write a contract before you're mandated. And this is exactly the same for banned. You have to agree to the jurisdiction first. Then you can be banned. So you can't just be banned. The government, which is a corporation, can't just say, you know what, we're going to ban you from walking into the forest. You go, excuse me? How the hell can you ban me from doing that? Please show me the jurisdiction that I've accepted. Because as far as I know, this land, the forest, is not owned by anybody. It's common land. I'm going to use air quotes, everybody, common land for better word, If you're told we are going to ban you to walk upon this land, I will ask the question, well, whose is it? And if you can't give me a name, and I'm not interested in a corporation, corporations have no rights. Is it Bob's land? Because if it's Bob's land, he can turn around and say, I'm banning you to walk on it because it is his land, which means his law is on that land. Therefore, if I walk upon it, I trespass upon his law, his land, and only a living, breathing man or woman can be author of the law. So that shows you the jurisdiction. Now, let's talk about a certain plant that people like to smoke and take part of for recreational purposes. I think we all know what we're talking about. In many states, this happens to be banned. And you go, well, hang on a minute. For it to be banned within the state, I have to accept the jurisdiction of the state. And if you don't accept the jurisdiction, or in other words, you ask them to prove you've accepted the jurisdiction and they can't do so, then they can't ban you from the thing. So that's what banning is. So you can't be banned just on a whim. You have to accept the jurisdiction. So let's touch on ownership. Now, I probably mentioned that. I can't remember if I have, because it's been 10 months since I chatted to you last time, but the word ship. This is another little tip that everyone should learn. Some of this stuff is easy when you learn the little tricks of the trade, if you like. Whenever you hear the word ship, it is referring to maritime law. And you go, okay, then what does maritime law mean? It basically is contract law. It means there's more than one party involved. So visualize a ship. There's a captain on board ship. You can be a crewman that boards the ship. And on that ship, there are many duties and titles and licenses thereof. And it's up to the captain on what titles and licenses and permissions and liberties you're allowed to have. Because we all know about liberty. Liberty is what you get when you leave the ship, Liberty Bell. You can have a little piece of freedom. When the bell rings again, your liberty is over. Get back on board ship, Liberty Bell. So anything with ship on the end means there could well be another party involved. So we go, relationship. Yeah, there's got to be two, isn't it? You can't have a relationship of one. Well, I suppose you could, but a bit weird. But normally, if you're in a relationship, there's two. Partnership, more than one party. Ownership. Now, this is where people go wrong. They don't know what ownership means, but it's the clue. Ship. It means there could well be more people involved. And in most cases, there is, especially within the system of commerce the average person is operating in. So ownership. The average person, unfortunately, has made the mistake of buying titles to things like cars and houses, properties, all this sort of stuff. Now, the thing with a title is a title can be split. So a title is just a piece of paper. So let's visualize this piece of paper I've got here. It's a piece of paper. It's a contract. It's a piece of paper. And this is where I can split certain titles. So it's a blank piece of paper. And I can actually say, okay, I'm going to draw a line down the middle. And I'm going to have the controlling interest on one side so that I control it. All right. So there you go. I'll write control. So there's control. And the value. This is the equitable title, which is the value of the title. So I will go, okay, there's value. So I've got the control and I've got the value. And on the other side, I'm going to put user rights. So I'm just going to write user rights like that. So there you go. There's user rights. Hopefully, there you go. So I've got the controlling interest. I have the value. And on the other side is the user rights. I'm going to call this the ship of ownership. Now, what's happening within commerce is the average person is being sold just this side of the title. That's all they've got. They've got the right to use, and it's limited and it's conditional. So in most cases, like say for the UK corporation, it's like freehold or leasehold. And you go, okay, what's this? And they do tell you. When you are told that you are the holder, it's saying you are holder in due course, which means you don't own the title, but you can be currently the holder of it in due course, and then you can pass it on to someone else. So think of it just a piece of paper being passed down the line, like what's pass the parcel game. So when the pass the parcel is in your possession, you are just the holder in due course, because this is on a course, a ship, due course. So you are the holder of due course. And they will even tell in the UK corporation, when you want to buy a house, they will say you've got to go and see an estate agent. And they've just told you what they're selling. They're an agent. We spoke about agents.
Yep.
So they are working for the principal. Well, who's the principal? That's the king. And they are selling estates, not property. It's called an estate agent. In America, it's called realtor. Mm-hmm. So real estate agent. Real means royal estate. So you go to an estate agent and they will actually tell you, they'll tell you this. They're not hiding any of this. It's just the average person is so dumbed down, they don't understand what words mean anymore. And the real estate will actually tell you the tenure you are buying. What does tenure mean? The right to hold. So they're telling you what you are buying. You are buying the right to hold this side of the title. And it's either freehold or leasehold. Leasehold means there's a time limit, usually 99 years. You've got to give it back. So freehold means you are free to hold it forever until you sell it on. When you sell it on, because you don't own this title, guess what? There's tax to pay. That's one of the conditions. And this is how tax is contractual. And I've just edit tax. So if I'm the freeholder and I bought this, then I've got to sell it. I sell it on. There's taxes to pay. There's also other conditions, because this is to do with the estate that I've bought. Remember what the estate is. The estate is the jurisdiction placed upon the land. That's why it's called land. It's not the soil. It's not the earth. It's not the bricks and mortar that you think you bought. It's a jurisdiction upon the land. It's a title. And it will say every year you've got to pay tax on this title. That's where property tax comes in, or council tax, for example. There's also certain conditions. You can't build on the land. I mean, this is the thing. People's mindsets are literally slave-minded, because they will say to me that they own the house, but then they're not allowed to put an extension on it. They're not allowed to have animals on the land. And I go, well, you don't own it then. Because if you've got to get permission to build, or you've got to get permission to put animals on it, then that means there's a higher authority, because you've got to get permission from them. And that is the conditions within the title. So that's the ship of ownership. Everyone has only bought a limited user right. It's the same for the car. Everything. If you've got a title, you've just got that. The controlling interest and the value of the title stays within the legal system. They own it. Now, the good news is, if you didn't know this, and if you understand contract law, if there was no full disclosure, guess what? The contract's null and void, isn't it? Null and void. You were tricked. You can't call it fraud until you prove it. Because then you go, well, hang on a minute, who owns this title? This is when it gets interesting. The land registry people, and this is in every country, they will never give you a name. There's no name. It's corporate. They'll say, oh, it's a title from the land registry. And I go, that's a corporation. A corporation has no rights. It's a dead entity. It doesn't even exist.
Man to man.
Man to man. Who owns the title? In other words, who has the controlling interest and who has the value? If that person is not standing by it, and by the way, the word legal title, again, this is another tidbit of information that everybody should learn. I mean, this is 5-year-old stuff. You know, 5-year-old can understand this. Legal means contract. Standing means a living, breathing man or woman standing by the contract. It's physically standing. And they say, I stand by this because I put my name on it and I sign it. And that's what it means, legal standing. So if I say to the land registry, can you please tell me the name of the person who has legal standing upon this title? And they don't give me a name, it's worthless, isn't it? It's a piece of toilet paper, goes in the bin. Bye-bye. Now that title is junk. The land that I'm living upon, guess what? Has not been claimed yet. No one's claimed it. So I'm now free to claim it.
Do a land claim for the soil and the earth and the mineral rights all below it as well.
Yes. You've got it. You can now claim the soil, the earth, and everything below it. Everything that's upon it, it's now yours, and you claim it using your name. Now, we'll get into the name and title, and we've got to learn the difference between a name and a title. This is key. You've got to learn this. Your name, the living name, if you like, the name that you own, and unfortunately, most people don't have a name, and you've got to learn how to. You've got to make a name for yourself. You've got to create your own name. But your name is yours. A name cannot be split. That's a key difference. A title can be, and I've just proved it. Titles can be split. Everyone, unfortunately, is using what is called a surname. The surname is surety name, debtor name. That's not a name. It's in fact a title, and it operates exactly the same as this. So the controlling interest and the value of the surname belongs to the people who control the legal system. You just have use of it. You just have the user rights of the surname. And you don't know any different. So you go around signing titles in the name of the surname, which you don't own. Right. So the title, your bank account, your property, your car is not even in your name. It's in the surname that is controlled and is owned by the legal system. That's the danger of names and titles. So you've got to make a name for yourself, and you do this through your own affidavit. So you will claim your name, and you'll create an affidavit of status of who you are. You'll create your own estate. Estate means status. So you'll create your own status. And well, within that status that you will create, your estate, you'll have your own flag. You'll have your own coat of arms, your own family crest. You'll have your own seal, and you'll have your own court seal. All of that is yours. Once that is yours, you've now created a name for yourself. That's my name. And like you said earlier, this is my lawful name, which operates above the legal system.
Yeah.
If you're religious, then you can say, oh, the only higher authority is God himself.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's what an affidavit is. You're making an affirmation to your chosen God or someone greater than yourself. You are understanding the power of the universe and say, look, on this planet, there is no one superior than me, but I'm not so big-headed to realize I am not the master of the universe. I must admit there is something greater than me, but it's not on this planet. So my affidavit is just making an affirmation to whatever is greater than me. I am man. I am standing on this planet, and I've got sovereignty, and no other man will stand above me. Period. End of. And I'll just finish. One thing you've got to learn in this game, people, don't copy someone else's paperwork. Don't use templates. The paperwork that you use is the extension of your sword. You've got to understand this. Now, everyone's heard the term, the pen is mightier than the sword. Mm-hmm. However, the might of the pen comes from the sword, which is your authority. It's my authority. So when I write something on a piece of paper and I serve notice upon someone, that's my authority. And I'm saying, if you carry on the way you're going, I'm putting the pen down and the sword's getting picked up. And this is, by the way, this is the Englishman's right. I'll give you a little bit of a tidbit here. You know, Englishmen, we drive on the right. You Americans and Canadians, you drive on the left. And you go, why is that? The reason being is because the sword is on the left. The right hand is gives out the justice for the man. The man gives justice by his right hand. It can either be in friendship with a handshake, saying I'm without sword, or with sword, saying prepare to fight. Okay, justice. The reason why we drive on the right, it comes from old horses, because you used to, on a horse, you can draw your sword. Then it was carriages. This is so you could drive your carriage and still have your sword, and you could start chopping heads off as you were driving your carriage.
Never knew
That's why we drive on the right.
Wow.
So we can still use the sword. I thought you Americans and Canadians, you've got no sword, I'm afraid, because you drive on the left. If you took your sword out, you chop your wife's head off.
Yeah. Excellent point. Wow.
But anyway, just remember that. So the paperwork you do is an extension of your authority, is an extension of your sword.
Amazing. Amazing. And the key thing is first taking control of your name, everyone.
Yes.
Right. So that's your very first thing. You go back once again to living birth record to birth certificate, which I would imagine 99.999% of everybody watching around the world or listening around the world to this, you were issued a birth certificate, but you didn't sign it as a baby. You know, the authority in your life at that moment in time, mother, father, as the guardian, the parents, the guardians who are renting you, the pair who rents the child, right, signed over your sovereignty as that birthed living man or woman, obviously a baby, you were male or female, there's only two. And that's that. And so you have a right to reclaim you back from that system that sucks your soul, time, energy, and money, because the right was already divinely gifted to you. You can call it ecclesiastical law, natural law, divine law, common law, whatever. It's really simple. There's a great omnipresence of divinity, and then you are made as man, woman, man, not a hue, not a color, a shade. Because, you know, if we have like right behind me is a solid, darkish, you know, almost a black, blue background, right? But there's different hues of the blue in the background, right? Now you're just You're man, you're woman. That's it. That's your divine, natural, common ecclesiastical law of which you bring forward your sovereignty of your soul and your self in the three-dimensional physical world. And when you bring that forward, you're not the hue of that, the color, the shade of it, that's owned birth certificate, that is registered registry to the country, not a nation. Nations are different than countries too. People, I mean, that's a whole other conversation too. But sovereign nation, country. I mean, the etymology of words, placed in full around it. And courtship, I mean, right there. Hey, come on in, get married, get your marriage license. We're here to celebrate your courtship. Okay, so you came into court, right? Or a magistrate or a justice of the peace, as they call them, the justice of the peace. And here you are on your courtship. And by the way, everybody, like you can even, if you want to have fun with your friends, to waken them up to this as you do this for yourself, just go ahead and, Google Earth. Look at the Supreme Court of Israel. It's a ship.
I think you're right. Yes.
It's 100%. Yeah, I've shown a couple of different Supreme Court buildings from different countries on the show, Sovereign Pete, and it's 100%. It's a ship. It's a ship. The architecture is a ship, and you go around and take a look at different Supreme Court buildings, and look at the ships. You have the bow, you have the stern. You come in, you look at the courtroom. You have the judge's bench always standing above. So you're understanding. This is literally how it was framed and set up for their suck your soul, time, energy, and money system in the legal. So now you're understanding and you're addressing your honor rather than, what's your name? Steve. Okay, Steve, the man dressing up in your black robe, acting as if a judge, my name is so-and-so, I'm the beneficiary. I'm acting as a beneficiary. I am not that. I mean, and then we've seen them vacate the bench. We have them on recording August of last year. I think we talked about this, Norman Traversy. 4 judges, female, showed up and they were challenged. You're like, where were you for this? And he goes, just so you know, I'm here to record your fraudulent activity. I am not whom you are bringing into this court. 5 minutes into the Zoom, they vacated. They came back, kicked him off the Zoom, and then 20 minutes later, an email went out. Mr. Norman Traversy challenges the authority of this court. Therefore, judgment is vacated. He challenged the authority. Vacated. Done. Because they're caught.
Yes.
So anyway, I bring that up because, it's just amazing once you go, nope. All right, let's talk about the amazing app. By the way, congratulations. I didn't say this in the beginning. I meant to.
Yeah.
Now you have thousands and thousands of students, more pouring in from around the world, in particular UK, where you are. And you just told me that you had your annual conference was sold out. Like, it's sold out, barnstormer for sure.
Yes.
People are wide awake to this now. What's going on? So congratulations. Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Tell us about the annual conference. I know we got to wait another year, but then I'll show the courses and everything that you have in the app for your smartphone. Amazing. But yeah,
thank you very much.
Tell us about what happens at the annual conference.
Yeah, we just did one last week, and it sold out very quick. It always does. People want to. We're going to have to get a bigger venue next year, so we're looking at some other places.
Wimbledon, and Jumbotrons.
If the Sovereign Project gets big enough, I might hire out the NEC.
Cool.
We'll see.
Awesome.
If you didn't know the NEC, that's the National Exhibition Center, which can hold like 10,000 people.
Massive, yeah.
We might get that big.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, the conference was great. We had a couple of guest speakers down. So I spoke in the morning and I was talking about tax being contractual, and I was talking about the system of commerce. And we had Peter Wilson down, he's a friend of mine, and David Alderman. So they were talking about sovereignty and parking tickets and all this sort of stuff. It was great. The atmosphere was absolutely electric because we've got great sovereign people in there, all learning this. I'm telling you what, when they learn it, the fear goes away because you figure it all out and you go, oh, I'm going to have so much fun with this. So we just had the conference. We're going to put one together for next year because already we're getting emails saying you're going to do another one next year. And says, yeah, we'll do another one next year.
Semi-annual. Yeah.
Yes, every year we'll do one.
Yeah.
So we've just released the app. So we've been working on this app, and part of my team. And the idea is, oh, thank you very much. Here's the Sovereign app. So this is this will help sovereigns who have to deal with police officers. And we're going to extend it to bailiffs, debt collectors, this sort of stuff. Now, we understand in the heat of the moment, even if you learn this stuff and you know what you're doing, in the heat of the moment, you might get a bit confused. It can get a bit hair. You know, we all know that's not a problem. And you might
because you posted something on social media, and all of a sudden you got 5 bobbies at your house knocking on your door. You don't like the pronouns that the school meeting issued to your son, daughter, we, they, them, it, kitty litter box.
Yeah.
So we're going to haul you off to jail now. Yeah, you can get a little bit in the heat of the moment with that.
Yes.
Or elsewhere.
And we totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
So what this app is designed to do is it will record the situation. So if you are confronted by a police officer, then you switch the app on and it records what's going on. And then what will happen is on the bottom of the screen, a series of questions will come up that you will ask the officer. So it depends on the country. We're going to be doing multiple scripts for different countries because this app is designed to go global, because we've got members in 75 countries now. So it is for everybody.
What? Seriously? Holy smokes. I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
We've got workshops in, I think we've got one in Texas, if I remember. But we've got workshops everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Marky B, thanks for hooking us up, Mark. Yeah. He's in Texas now. Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, the Sovereign Project is global. We're all over the place now, which is great. So the app is designed, and what it is a series of questions. And basically what you're doing is you're asking the officer to identify himself. You're going to be asking certain questions like, are you on your oath? Certain countries, I think, as far as I know, every police officer has a oath. So I'm pretty sure the American does as well. I know the UK has one, which is slightly different. But you're asking him, is he operating under his oath? You're asking for indemnity insurance. You say, have you got your indemnity insurance? And you're going to be asking some basic questions like, are you arresting me? Can you name the victim? All this sort of stuff. Now, the reason you're recording it is because if the police officer does not follow the correct legal procedures within his country, because he has to, because he just says, yes, I'm under oath, he has to follow the rules. If he doesn't, you're recording him. So what you can then do is this will be the basis for your legal case against him. So you'll then serve notice upon the officer. You'll serve notice on his superior and say, look, this officer violated my rights. He did not follow the correct procedures of your particular country. How do you want to handle this? Now, this app is designed to work with certain corporate institutions. Thank you very much. This app is not to fight the system. We're not going to fight the system.
No, we don't fight.
We don't fight. We will work with the system. And we realize that there are certain bad apples within the system who don't follow the rules. So we are going to use this app. We're going to record these people, and then we shall be serving notice upon them. And then we'll serve notice on their superior and says, look, your employee, PC, whoever, did not follow the correct protocols. He violated my rights. What do you want to do about it? Now, you can take it to court depending on your particular country, and then you can sue for damages.
And that's the first law as well. Is you're saying this happened, here was the harm done to me. How do you want to remedy it? I've got some suggestions to remedy it. What do you say? Right? You're having a conversation.
Yes.
Not fighting. Not protesting. Not protesting. Imagine if we turn now, all these protesters still showing up in London right now. And they just went and started.
That's it.
Beauty.
That's it.
Yeah.
This is what people have got to do. I mean, absolutely. I'm glad you brought up protesting. Everyone watching, please don't protest.
Fuck the protest now. The time is over. It is even the law of war, by the way. Law of war manual 2023. We have shown around the world we have to take peaceful actions. We have actually went past that step. We've done it all around the world. Protests no longer work. And so by law of war manual, we actually have to take these steps because we are in a war across the world. Even Trump says, I'm a commander-in-chief. I'm still a wartime commander-in-chief. And this is a guy who's not saying like, oh, it's just because we have a conflict here and there. We are still in open warfare, folks. Remember, 5G warfare,
yeah,
chemtrail warfare, glyphosate spraying, vaccine genocide, genetically modified foods, vaccines and appeal, on all of your foods. Like the war, just not bombs and bullets and tanks yet. At your doorstep, it's all these other instruments and propaganda. So because we're at war, you can even follow law of war manual, and the time for protesting is over. It even says there. It's time everybody takes it this way, by the way. So sword, pen, this is the way. Go ahead.
This is it. The pen is the extension of your sword. So, I mean, going back to the protest, you see, the problem is if you protest, you're accepting the obligation of the thing you're protesting against.
Yeah.
You've already lost. And so if you protest the government, you're going to get more of it as a punishment for protesting. So never protest. You should never petition either, because if you petition, you're contracting. Because what happens when you do a petition? They say, can you put your name there? Can you put your address there? Can you sign there? You've just obligated yourself to the very thing you're petitioning against. This is commerce. So you're going to get more of it. So we don't do any of that. We don't petition. We don't protest. I certainly don't vote. What I do is I serve notice. And you're absolutely right. We don't fight. So we don't do that. We will record the police officer. We've got the recording. So we serve notice and we do a notice of opportunity to cure. So all we're doing is say, look, your police officer did this to me. Okay. He didn't follow protocol. He didn't identify himself. He used bad language. I've got it on the record. How do you want to cure this? So you've got to learn this game. You ask question as king. I'm asking the question. That's what the word means. As king. I'm the king of my kingdom. Remember what kingdom means. King of my dominion.
Yeah.
Freedom means I'm free in my dominion. So that's why I deal in freedom, because I'm free in my dominion. I'm king of my dominion. So I am asking the questions as the king. So I ask questions and I'm being nice because I'm saying, yes, you harmed me. And I'm even offering you an opportunity to cure. I'm doing this with honor. I'm saying, look, I'm going to give you 30 days. How would you like to cure this situation? And if people start doing this, this is it. The politicians are over. They're going to start legging it because they realize the game is up. Because men are standing their ground. That's what standing means. I mentioned this earlier. Men have got to stand up. You've got to have a name for yourself, and you've got to say enough's enough. I'm not petitioning. I'm not going to the county hall anymore to their meetings. I'm not even obligated to go anyway. Why am I going to go there? I'm not doing that. I'm serving notice, cease and desist. Otherwise, the sword's coming out. You get enough men doing that, it's game over. Game over.
I would add to that one item.
Sure.
If everybody did this just prior to the county hall meetings, and then everybody took their 5 minutes at a county hall meeting and all said the same thing everywhere, recorded on public TV, that would be ideal. That would be ideal. Because you just think about like all the stuff that goes viral, like, oh, Mickey Clan, look what she did over in Arizona for a stolen election, or, look at this mama standing up for, the pronoun stuff. In Sacramento, California, they just had it. They found 180 million in the slush fund. So the people came in Sacramento, right, just north of San Francisco, right beside it. And they vacated. The town council vacated. They were caught with hand in the cookie jar. So I would encourage everybody at this point in time, get the system, get the app, and educate everybody around you. Send in those notices. Show up at the county meeting.
The notice.
And you've already given the notices, and you just read the notice, everybody, 5 minutes, 100 people, they will crap their freaking pants. Yes. Because they're like, we're coming in for this and this and this and this and this, and then notice 2 and notice 3, and you keep coming back. Town council meeting, etc. This got to do the paperwork first.
Yes.
Then show it with your voice. Vocalize the paperwork on recording everywhere. Full freaking stop. Full freaking stop.
That's it.
Full freaking stop.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It's a bloodless war. It ends.
Yeah.
No fighting. Don't need to fight. It's just showing your authority. Enough's enough, especially if you're a man. I mean, it's a sad fact that more women are fighting than the males because they're too busy playing Xbox or whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's come on, man, stand up. You got to do it. And just speak out. You know what I mean? And say enough's enough.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And again, it's just words on a piece of paper. That's what it really comes down to. Words on a piece of paper. Okay, so I want to go back to this because link, by the way, if you're watching the broadcast, you're seeing it on the screen. But if you're listening to this later on the podcast platforms, immediately below the description of the show, you have the links to the Sovereign Project Live, the app, and also the main website, the sovereignproject.live, for Sovereign P with all of his courses as well. And, you know, applied knowledge is power. Knowledge isn't power. Otherwise, librarians would be, you know, multi-billionaires or trillionaires, right? It is the applied knowledge. So at the bare minimum, for 20 pounds for an entire year, you jump on, get the app, and throw it on your phone. And then the other thing is get started. Where, if somebody is hearing this for the first time, Sovereign Pete, would you recommend they get started with you after they purchase the app and download it? Because everybody should have this, right? Because just imagine all law enforcement, you know, men and women dressed up in a uniform, acting as law enforcement, whether they're border patrol or they're sheriffs or they're city council or sorry, city policy enforcement police. Hang on a second. Let me just back out of this for one moment. Everything that Sovereign P and I are saying here, we fully back every benevolent man and woman who are out there, first responders too, who are serving the light. So 100%, right? Because we have bad apples in every branch, whether it's government all across the board. But we're also all together in this. So just imagine if now we have tens of thousands of people just from this show and then the 75 countries download the app and the word's getting out to law enforcement agencies, first responders, medical practitioners, and hospitals, because the medical kidnappings are huge. Canada, it was just on Joe Rogan 2 weeks ago, right? Dr. Bowden, one of the top MDs that was, you know, fully targeted during the COVID and the scandemic. She was just on Joe Rogan and said, hey, it's 15,000 people that Canada euthanized just in 2024 alone in the hospitals, right? It's over like somewhere the reports are up to 80,000, but who knows who's tracking that. So anyway, so again, we also have the hospital kidnappings and everything. So just imagine that you have this for 20 quid. I think you call them quid now, right? Still?
Yeah, we do.
Quid, pounds, yeah. Yeah.
20 quid.
Get that app on your phone, then go back here. So back up, how to put it out there for our good military, law enforcement, first responders, you know, healthcare heroes, absolutely, that we fully support you on this. You guys should also have this too, you know, as well, and be learning this knowledge, everybody for sure. Now, where should a newbie, you know, brand new to all of this, where should they start with Sovereign Project?
Yeah, well, we can go to the website, which is obviously the sovereignproject.live.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have online courses. We do have workshops. So the workshops will show you all the workshops operating around the world. We have chess clubs as well. So most of those operate within the UK corporation, or I do believe there's some in other countries. Oh, there you go.
There you go. Ontario, Canada.
Oh, there we go. We got one in Canada.
Awesome. New Zealand, Athens, Greece. Wow.
Yeah.
Desbarats, Canada, Bridgeport, England. Man, yeah, that's amazing. Another one in Canada. You mentioned Texas coming up, Scotland. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. So everybody can just go there to look for live work.
You can go there, find your local one, and join the local group if you can. Yeah. If you can set up your own group if you wish. You can get in contact with us and we'll help you set one up. You can do the online courses, but a lot of people go, oh, you're only doing it to sell courses. No, because we actually give this information away for free. You can download all this information. So we've got a few links on our YouTube channel. So that's another place you can go, which is on YouTube, which is the Real Sovereign Project. And there's some videos on there. And there's videos on there on how to install the app, how to use the app. And there's other bits and pieces on there. We've got some shorts. And oh yeah, there we go. There is to see it on the screen. Oh, we've got Carl. There's Carl. He's doing great work. He's filling in the spots for me because I can't go to every event because I get invited to all these events around the UK. I can't get to them all. And so Carl fills in. So he's actually now speaking in front of audience on my behalf, and he's spreading the message regarding the Sovereign Project. I've got a good team that help me out, and they're all working behind the scenes, getting this information out. We're working with the farmers, because I think you've heard about what's going on with the farmers over here in the UK.
Yeah.
We're educating them on land and titles and all this. So yeah, the information is free. You can learn it, download it, not a problem. Yes, we sell books. Yes, we sell online courses. Yes, the app is £20 a year. Now, I just want to touch on the app.
Sure.
The app is starting off. Now, what we're doing is we have some add-ons coming for the app. Now, hopefully a lot of you out there understand that it's going to cost a lot of money to run an app for some of this. It's not cheap.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to cover the costs. Now, what we want to do with this app is when there's enough people using it, we want to be able to live stream your video. So let's say you are confronted and you switch on your camera. Everyone on the network will get pinged an email, a little message saying someone, a sovereign member, is in trouble, and you will be able to watch it in real time. And you will also know the location. You might be around the corner and you go, it's Fred. You can go and help him, and you can assist in it peacefully. Assist. Now, what we want to then do is offer a legal team that can view your video and help you put a case together. Nice. But this is obviously going to cost some money. So what we're actually saying to everybody, if everybody gets the app now, then all these add-ons will be free. So we'll do it for free. And hopefully there will be enough subscribers to pay for all these add-ons, which we'll do over the several months.
Amazing.
So that's the plan. So everyone can get involved. Everyone can do a simple thing. Just installing the app. At least it's on your phone. You've got an emergency app there ready to go. And it helps us as well, because it's a donation that helps fund our team at the Sovereign Project, so we can get more resources out to you. That's what the Sovereign Project is about, supplying remedies and resources, such as we've got gold specialists, we've got trust specialists. Check out the website. There's a whole load of resources there that you can use to hopefully become sovereign and live a peaceful life and be left alone by the people who work for the system.
I'll be sharing that also outside the show, be pumping out, the link to the app, because that's just the easiest, fastest way to get started, to feel that you've taken action. And then everybody, I highly recommend a course for everybody around the world, and then do a live, because there's no substitution really, unless you're limited by geography. There's no substitution for being in a place with like-minded people. You're in the same harmonizing event. And it's freaking awesome, because you're learning how much they enslaved you, and you are being freed both in body, mind, and soul as a result of it. It's bloody brilliant. Love it. I love it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And we live in a surveillance state anyway. So now we're putting power back into your hands to eventually get to that next iteration of the app with enough people on board to go, well, okay, well, we're in a surveillance state anyhow. Well, guess what? You're on candid camera.
You flip the script.
So question. Yeah, exactly. Right. And there you are. Yeah. Yeah. Show me the harm. Yeah.
That's right. Have I harmed anybody? Who have I trespassed?
Yeah. Have I trespassed?
You did mention about the obviously, if we've got time, we can just cover this. And
sure.
We're talking about surveillance state.
Yeah.
And people are going, what am I going to do about it? Well, the sovereign knows what to do. Yep. And let me explain you the difference between CCTV and facial recognition. Now, CCTV is just generally recording. It's not recording who you are or any data or anything like that. And there's nothing unlawful or illegal about it. It's when the facial recognition comes in. This is where it becomes a violation of your rights.
Yep.
So let me explain how this works. Let's say you're on the seaside and you take a photograph of your girlfriend, and then you get a load of strangers in the background. That's fine. That's the same as CCTV. It's no problem there. They're in the public. However, if you started looking those people up that you caught in the background of that photograph, and you started looking them up and using their details and all the rest of it, you're violating their rights now.
Right.
So facial recognition is literally telling you directly that they are violating your rights, and the average person can't even see it, because what does it say? Facial recognition. They told you. Well, that means that they can recognize my face. Well, to be able to do that, that must mean that they already have my face on their records, doesn't it? It means they already have my details on their database. So what you're going to do, as a sovereign, you would serve notice on any organization that says they've got facial recognition, and you give them 30 days to provide the contract that you signed where you agreed for them to have your face on their database. And when they come back and say, oh, we don't have that contract, oh, you're in trouble now, Mush, because I'm now going to sue you for violation of my rights. And you can use things like GDPR in the UK as well. Gets juicy. But people are waking up and realizing you can sue institutions for facial recognition for quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or you don't sue them immediately. You ask them to provide evidence where you allowed them to have your face on their database. When they come back and says, oh, we don't have it, well, you've just violated my rights. See you in court. And then you file a court case. People are doing this. It's going to be great. So that kills the surveillance state, doesn't it? Because if everyone stood up and says, hang on a minute, I didn't authorize this. I didn't allow you to have my face on your database.
They're doing it in the States right now as part of, listen, I'm a huge supporter of the majority of the moves that have just been taken, because you actually see a lot of, and it's only been like 7 or 8 months, and President Trump's been back in office, okay, that we see that. Yet they're saying as well, oh, Real ID is coming for all American citizens, and it's going to be facial recognition. This is under Department of Homeland Security, under Kristi Noem, and it's just going to make your travel check-in easier at your airports. So here's all your 10 fingerprints, here's your iris scan and everything, and we have it. And by the way, they also, in that big, beautiful bill, which I'm like, okay, is anybody standing up and opposed to this? They're putting facial recognition cameras across every major interstate all across America right now in that big, beautiful bill. There's a couple of things that I have about that. Like, really? So, and maybe this is a 5D chess move, but maybe not, but it's still there. And if it's in writing and nobody's standing up and opposing to it, guess what happens when people don't oppose, part of their slavery we saw with Patriot Act and everything else that came in. So yeah, guess what? Does everybody want your children's iris, their faces recognized anywhere for child predators to be able to hack a system of some business? Like, you may not have heard of this, Canadian Tire in Canada, which I don't know the equivalent, but it's basically like America has the Home Depot. So everybody's aware of those big box stores. So Canadian Tire is like that, but much smaller. But they, in 2022, rolled out facial recognition across all their stores, and they were caught. But does that mean that they rolled it back now? No. So just imagine that somebody who claims to be an ethical hacker hacks Canadian Tire, pulls all the database records, does a dump in 1 minute of millions of people who have been in Canadian Tire. Now they have facial recognition on all of you and your children, and then they're a child predator, and then they're selling them. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is 100% fact, just because of what we saw in the last 3 weeks being taken down in the States, Canada, the UK, and Spain. Right? Yes. And then they sell all your kids' images online, and then they target them through your Facebook and your Twitter or whatever social media posts for your young children and daughter, because they know where you live. And this is all done in a matter of several minutes. It's because it's all linked. So they don't need to hack a government database that has all your facial recognition stuff. If you say yes, they just go to the weakest link. And if the weakest link is a freaking Canadian Tire security, that's some like, automotive repair center type of guys, they probably don't have the best in the planet. And so people who are child predators and doing all of that nasty stuff, they're going to get it. So as a result of it, you definitely need to know this for you, exercise it for yourself. And it's like starting at the gym if you haven't been back to the gym or working out, right? You get your muscles going, and then you become consciously competent, and then you're starting to become unconsciously competent of certain exercises and moves, and you get better. So start with you first, move it out to your family, your community, and share. That's what I would say. This is extremely important for the world. Everybody does this.
It really does. It's absolutely right. And more people have just got to take a stand, and they've got to do their little part in this. Yeah. And if everybody does it, that's it. It comes to an end.
So, yeah, amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna go right back here as a final reminder. That's the full screen when we get to the window here. So, yep, you're on the YouTube. You go right up here.
Yep.
You get the free courses. You've got exactly access to the chess club, the live workshops, books. Download the app. 20 pounds. Get after her, everybody. My goodness. You know, it's only like a couple cents a day. Can't do the math on 365 by roughly like, 20 pounds right now. But yeah, well worth it. Well worth it because it will save you a lot as a result.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mahalo. Thank you so much for what you all do. Yeah. I won't go so long next time between our shows and schedule again. Yeah.
We've still got tons to discuss. So there's loads of topics we can cover.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, I deeply appreciate it. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching, and go get after it. Hit the like button, grab the links, and get her done. And let's see what happens when we all stand up together.
That's it.
Not repeat.